Yo, what is up guys, it's Pedro here, and in today's video I will be going over 5 players whose stock went up after the Washington Commanders' second preseason game, this time versus the Kansas City Chiefs. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content on the road to 9,000 subscribers. So please help me get there, also with that like button and turn on those notifications and check out real-time fantasy sports. So the Commanders finished their second preseason game of the season, losing to the Kansas City Chiefs 24-14, and there were some players that stood out. Not as many as last time, but definitely some players that played well and increased their stock a little bit. So we're going to go through those, and the first guy on the list, in my opinion, is Jamin Davis. I thought Jamin Davis had a really solid game for the Commanders. Let's go look at the stats. He had, let's see, three total tackles, and all 3 were solo. But it wasn't just that. He had some good plays in coverage too, locking down some running backs. From what I've seen, when I was there in training camp and the game so far, he's been really good in coverage, especially against those running backs. It's good practicing against Antonio Gibson and J.D. McKissic, who are both good pass catching backs, and they also had some pretty, couple good plays in the run game as well. So let me go down here and see if you guys can see that. So we'll play that right here. Hopefully this isn't copyright. I don't think it will be, but you guys can see Jamin Davis right there on the screen, and he's able to, have some really solid coverage on the, running back. So his coverage is always, coming out. That's something that a lot of people liked about him, and you could see it on display today and in practice so far. So here's another play. Is this? Yeah, okay. So you guys are going to see him right there, and, we'll watch him make this play right here. So just a nice, tackle, able to, stop him for maybe a 1 or 2 yard gain. And he wasn't doing stuff like this last year. So he definitely looks better. The question is, how much better? Like, from what I'm seeing, he looks significantly better. And, it's just the question of, is he, because last year he was terrible. He was not a good linebacker at all. Is he going to be average this year? Is he going to be a little bit, above average? And if we can get that, then I think that's really going to help out the defense this year for sure. So that's just something that, they're going to have to, work on with Jamin Davis and Cole Holcomb, and, they need to improve the depth as well. So we'll see. I didn't really see much from the other linebackers in this past game, but Jamin Davis definitely improved his stock and played really well in my opinion. So next guy on this list is Brian Robinson, another obvious one, but he had another very solid game. He ran really well, had a couple really nice runs, running over people, and he's just able to, his vision is so good. He knows where to go, especially in the second and third level. He had 8 carries for 31 yards, 3.9 yards per carry, and you might be like, that's not amazing, that's average. Well, yeah, it is average in terms of the yards per carry, but if you look at it, like, he had at least like 3-4 carries, probably around 3, maybe 4 carries, where it was 2nd and 1 or 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2, and they're just asking him to get 1 or 2 yards. So like that obviously lowers his yards per carry. And I'm trying to think, did he get any receptions? No receptions for Brian Robinson yesterday, but overall he had a really solid game, and I think he's almost safe to say that he's RB1, but maybe there's a little bit room for Gibson. I think probably they'll start off maybe like 60-40 and go from there. If Robinson's looking really good, maybe it'll increase to 70-30. If it's the opposite, then maybe it'll go to 50-50 or Gibson 60-40. And then if Gibson fumbles, or even if Robinson fumbles, then we know what's going to happen there. So just something to keep your eye out for. But yeah, Brian Robinson looking like a fantasy steal. And at this point, like, it's going to be hard to get him late. It's going to be really hard to get him late in fantasy drafts. But I did one a couple weeks ago, or maybe right after the first preseason game, and I was able to get him like 14th round, so was excited about that for sure. But he was definitely a stud in the Commanders' second preseason game. Okay, so the next guy on this list is Shaka Toney, second-year pass rusher out of Penn State, made the 53-man roster last year, and is looking to do the same this year. And it looks like Chase Young, it's looking more and more like he's going to, he's going to start the year on IR, or probably the PUP list, so he'll be out for the first 4 games this season, more likely than not. It's not confirmed, but it's getting closer and closer, and we haven't seen really any promising things in his recovery. So if that's the case, and there's going to be an extra spot for a pass rusher. So these guys are all going to be competing. Like, I think James Smith-Williams is going to make it. I think, there's a good shot Daniel Wise makes it. And then, even Efe Obada. But after that, it's a really real competition between Casey Tuhill, Shaka Toney, William Bradley King, Rotimi, like all these guys. They're going to be competing. And Shaka Toney didn't play. I don't know how many snaps he played. I know the snap count came out, but he had a really nice sack. He had a really, really nice sack. It was against like the reserves, like the third stringers, but it was really nice. And he had another play where it was mainly another guy that got the pressure and forced the quarterback into Shaka Toney and Jacob Punasek, but he was still there and able to bring the guy down. Overall, had 3 tackles, 2 solo tackles, 1.5 sacks, a tackle for loss, and 2 QB hits. So he looked very, very solid. And at 1 sack, man, you could just see the bend, you could see the speed, gets right to the QB. That is what you want to see, and had a nice special teams play as well. So hoping to see more out of Shaka Toney. I think this third game is going to be big for him. So if he can, continue to do what he just did, then maybe he makes a 53-man roster, because he also can play special teams, and that is valuable in terms of and it's important when you're thinking about who's going to make that final, the last few roster spots. So he's competing for that, and he definitely helped himself getting a sack and showing why they put him on the team last year and why he was drafted versus some of these other guys that weren't drafted, or you know what I mean. So yeah, that is a guy that definitely helped himself out this week. So next guy is Cam Sims. He just was kind of having a first quiet training camp, and a little first preseason game was a little bit quiet as well. But he made a really, really nice touchdown grab from Taylor Heinicke, and just showed, the reason why I picked him is not only obviously scored a touchdown, but he showed his role on this team. He showed why he is a valuable part of this team, because he's a big red zone threat for the Commanders. You look at him, let's see, did he only have 1 catch? Let's go to it. He had 2 catches for 23 yards and 1 touchdown. Also got hit really, really hard. I thought this was funny right here. Cam Sims tells JP Finley that when he got hit hard in the second quarter, the only thing he thought about was his young daughter watching him on TV and seeing him hurt on the ground. So I love Cam Sims, and he's making the team. Almost, it's a lock. It's pretty much a lock for him to make the team. He played really well, in my opinion, this game. Showed his worth. Showed why he's going to make this team, because he's one of the only big receivers they have, and one of the guys that can be a red zone threat. So he's a guy that will probably be active on game days, because he's just such a big threat, a big red zone threat. And you don't know what you have in Cole Turner yet, but you know what you have in Cam Sims. So that is something to consider right there. And I think we'll get into stock down tomorrow, but he played pretty well. I think Dax Milne was solid. Alex Erickson, I don't think he's making this team, because he's not doing anything as a returner to warrant making this roster. I mean, just look at these numbers. 1 for 17 there. The last week didn't do much as well, and as a punt returner hasn't done anything. Dax Milne, not only played pretty well as a receiver, but had a nice punt return as well, where he kind of made something out of nothing, and that's what you want to see out of a returner. So, Cam Sims stock up, Alex Erickson stock down, in my opinion. So that's number 4. And number 5, I just want to throw in another rookie in there, and that is Jahan Dotson. I thought he played pretty well in the limited, action he got. What is it? He had 2 targets for 23 2 targets, 2 catches for 23 yards, and they were kind of short, but you saw how they're able to use him and how he can get some yards after the catch. So I really like seeing Jahan Dotson today, seeing what he could do to add to this offense. He had a screen which resulted in a first down. I can't remember the other one, but it was something I believe was underneath, pretty short reception by him, and he turns it into a little bit of a long gain. So I liked what he did against the Chiefs, and I want to see. I don't think he's going to play in week 3, but I think in the first couple weeks, hoping I see a little bit of a bigger play from Jahan Dotson. But the preseason really doesn't matter. Just nice seeing a couple plays from your rookies, and we've seen that from guys like Brian Robinson, Jahan Dotson, and some other guys as well. So those are the 5 main guys. I'll get into some other guys that I thought improved their stock a little bit. Heinicke looked good, and some people are saying Sam Howell's the backup. Sure, should be the number 2. Well, I was saying, it shouldn't be, and I think you guys saw, there's a reason why it was a 5th round pick, even though it probably should have been a little higher. There was teams concerned with him, and it's going to take some time for him to develop. So Heinicke as a backup is the way to go. He played well. Sam Howell struggled a little bit. Some other guys that I thought played well. You got Dax Milne played pretty well. Alex Erickson had another really long catch, which kind of inflated his numbers, but I didn't see anything too special from him. Armani Rogers had a nice catch. Curtis Samuel had a couple nice catches, also had a drop, and but had some nice blocks as well. I'm trying to see any other players that had good games. Jeremy Reeves looked good as well. He had some nice plays. I'm trying to think. Kendall Fuller allowed a touchdown, but he also had a really nice pass breakup, so he was solid. Casey Toohill, Daniel Wise, I thought those guys looked good, and then Derek Forrest had a nice special teams tackle as well. So those are the guys that I think had a stock up game, and we'll get into tomorrow players that their stock went down. And also tomorrow will be, they're going to have to release 5 more players, so look out for videos tomorrow on that. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and peace.